Hello, Gridwisers. Welcome back. On today's episode, we got a lot of juicy things to talk about. One being, we have the full 2019 earnings data available and crunched. So we're going to go through just how much Uber drivers made in 2019, the full year, all the trends, all the juicy details that you requested coming up first. Second, we're going to be talking about new Uber earnings changes and updates to California drivers. And third, what are unicorn rides? Something fun. I'm going to share some of my stories, some of my best rides. Brandon's going to share a little bit of his perspective as being a unicorn passenger. And let's get right into it. Welcome back to another rendition of this episode 13 podcast with Jay and Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing well. Ready to get into it. How you doing?
Pretty good myself. I'm all hopped up on caffeine.
Cool. Sounds like it. Maybe not just caffeine. I don't know. But let's not worry about that. Let's get into the data.
What do you mean? What do you mean,
Talk
bro?
about that later and get into the data here.
Let's get into the data.
How much were rideshare drivers making in 2019?
How much? Let me know.
So we published a report. It's on our website. We'll link it down below when we publish this in the description box. But we published this information, and drivers in all markets, of course, were kind of making a different amount of money. But from a hourly standpoint, across the nation, driver earnings actually peaked. Per month, driver earnings actually peaked at $19.64 per hour in March. Then they actually decreased. They actually continuously decreased until August to about $15.65 per hour. So a significant decrease from March to August. And then they tick back to $16.92 in December. So we ended up having a yearly average across the nation of $17.21 per hour. So,
and is that before or after expenses?
That is before expenses.
Ooh.
That's before expenses, after TNC takes their cut.
Oh my goodness, Brandon. Now, the trends that we're seeing with increases and decreases, are there any insights on this? Like, why are we seeing these dips?
It's very difficult to isolate exactly what's going on. I mean, one thing there's a couple of big things that I think are happening kind of in this period. One of them being just kids are getting out of school. So we know for lots of cities, especially the bigger cities where we're getting data from, kids get out of school, overall demand decreases. So we could be seeing a decrease in just overall demand, could be seeing a decrease in surges and things like that are dropping. Also quests and bonuses, things like that are dropping your overall pay. Also, sometime in the spring to early summer, depending on your market, they did introduce the new surge, right? So a lot of that decrease, everyone knows that new surge just decreases your earnings pretty much across the market.
Sure did.
So you could be seeing also a decrease in earnings based on the surge, right? So that could be happening. It's hard to isolate and understand exactly what is happening. It's also in the summertime, people are more likely to walk. So again, demand is going to decrease. So it's hard to unpack exactly what happened, but you definitely see that dip in the summertime in everyone's overall earnings.
I can let you know from personal experience in this market, my market that I drive in, it sure as hell dies down in the summertime when the kids are gone. We have 3 major universities and colleges, 5 here in the city of Pittsburgh. And when them kids are gone, ain't nothing going on. No surge, nothing. So that makes sense to me. I'm also curious as to why rideshare earnings jumps back up around this time right now. We are middle of January, approaching February. Into March, the data shows last year that it significantly jumps up in these months into March.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cold. It's cold. Kids are back in school. It's cold. People don't want to walk nearly as much. I'm in Chicago, and if I wanted to go a half a mile, or maybe but if I wanted to go a mile away, now I'm fucking calling an Uber. I'm not gonna try to walk it in the Chicago weather. We can take a look at kind of market by market, like how that goes to maybe understand a little bit better about whether or not weather is a big effect. So if we were in Atlanta, for instance, or even Tampa Bay or Miami or something like that, we would expect that to be a little bit more flat if the fact that people are just walking is a big factor, but we just don't know. We just don't know about that quite yet.
So takeaways from this, if you're watching this and listening to this right now, and you're a full-time driver or part-time even, best times to earn money across the board on average, it's going to be this month into March. So the month of mid-January into all of February and all of March. And then rideshare earnings decreases significantly even more on average. So again, this is just averages, but it'll definitely help you formulate your strategy if you have one. And if you don't, you should make one.
Yeah, it's definitely this time is big. We have one more data point that we showed of your hourly earnings per trip, and you saw a little bit of a decrease after March, and when the kids are out of school and things like that. There was a little bit of a decrease, but it wasn't nearly as drastic of a change as your overall per hour earnings. So again, that kind of leads me to believe that a big part of that could have been just the fact that there's just less demand. So you're not so much getting paid less. You are getting paid a little bit less per ride, but you could also just be getting less.
Right.
Be getting less rides.
And I would like to also point out in this data set, link in the description below, and I'll also put it in the comment section below. Make sure you look at it to dive into more detail. This actually varies dramatically between cities. Now that makes sense. Every city is different, right? Of
course.
Pittsburgh, our home base, is actually one of the highest earning cities in terms of per hour and per mile. Per hour, I believe, is over 18, and per mile is over $1. And in some markets, such as Houston, Texas, the per mile is like under 70 cents per mile on average earnings, which if you factor in what we think is the total rideshare cost of driving, that's 30 cents a mile. On average, doing rideshare, factoring all of the costs, including vehicle depreciation, will cost you in the end 30 cents per every driving mile. So if you're only making 70 cents a mile, subtract 30 from that. Now your true earnings are only 40 cents a mile. So keep that in mind, drivers. Make sure you look and check out our blog post where we publish these earnings data for your specific city to get a better data advantage.
Interesting insights. So check it out.
Up next, Uber changed the rules of the game again. Now, this is a direct response to the new laws, and they made it as clear as day. They said the reason why we're doing these changes is in response to the new state labor laws, AB 5. So they want to make sure that there's no confusion. They don't want drivers being classified as employees, and part of that is rolling back all the BS changes that they made in the past year and in the years before that. Drivers are now in California are afforded end destination. They're afforded estimated earnings up front. They're rolling back surge now. Surge is no longer sticky flat surge for everybody. No longer is this Robin Hood for the masses. Now we're going back to the old multiplier surge where if you pick up the passenger, you make all of the earnings. Now I think the key to this is because of this whole employee independent contractor business. If they divvy up the earnings of surge on a flat sticky surge and they influence how you pick up trips, hey, come on, are you an employee now? Sorta. Like you're not really independent at that point. If they roll back to the original multiplier surge, that eliminates at least that little aspect of the game. Also, in addition to this change, this affects pool as well. Pool trips are now all up front. You know exactly how much you're making per trip. And also, changes in quests and promotions. No longer are you earning a flat amount bonus added to your account after you finish your quests. Now, once you finish your quests, you have a reduced service fee for your next X amount of trips. Now, I have a huge gripe with this because before you would complete your quest and earn your money. Now you complete your quest, you still have to drive more to make more, if that makes sense. So they're saying you should see service fee decreases to as low as 1%. And also, another huge change when we're talking about service fees. Uber is rolling back and cutting the service fee that they charge to 25%. There will be no more platform fee, as I read, and the entire cost will be a quarter, 25% max of whatever the rider pays. And 75% of the earnings that was paid to the rider will go to you. Again, this is a big win for drivers, but I say that with a grain of salt because this should have been the way it was from the get-go, from the start. This should have never deviated from this correct path.
Well, it was the way that is how it was in the start. Well, for the most part, I mean, a lot of the stuff is just rolling back some things that they implemented. Like you said, just like in response to AB5, just making sure that, hey, we don't control these drivers. That's like the big thing that they want to make sure here. So it is rolling back a lot of the things that they would have that drivers did have. This is a California thing, but I think again, like it's important to look at that from a national lens, because if drivers kind of force, their legal, their lawmakers to bring forth an AB5 type bill in their state, Uber's going to do this stuff as well, because again, like they're not trying to have drivers be employees. A lot of drivers aren't trying to be employees. But listen, this is leverage right here, and you can see right here what that leverage can do for drivers. So,
and again, I just want to remind everybody that's watching, the changes here are purely in response to these new laws, the new legislation passing. It has nothing to do with keeping drivers happy and making you more money. This is purely
they said that it had something to do with keeping drivers happy, but I mean, in their blog post about this, they say clearly this isn't us kind of thinking, oh, this is Uber's doing. This is exactly what they said. So this is one of their responses to AB5. They're also suing the state of California. They also have their own legislation that's going to be they want it to be on the ballot in November 2020. They're doing a couple of different things because they know they cannot have drivers be employees. So they're doing everything they can. If you are in another state, do everything you can to get in front of your lawmakers. Say, hey, push something AB5 type, so that we can start to get this more fair treatment from Uber, from Lyft.
Mm-hmm. Next topic: unicorn rides. Now, those of you driving out there, what do you consider are unicorn passengers and riders? Well, I'll let you know what I consider to be unicorn passengers. Here are my categories of things that you must satisfy to be classified as a unicorn. You're on time to the pickup. Means if I drive up to your location, not only is it accurate, you're waiting there at the curb. I don't have to call you. I don't have to wait. No more than just pulling up and having you open the door again in the car. Number 2, you tip. You tip in the app, or you tip in cash.
You think it's better to tip in the app or tip in cash? Like, what is
cash is better, just because it's on hand. But in the app is fine as well. Also, third stipulation: you're a long trip and you don't mind paying into the surge. Those are my unicorn riders. Now, I am being a little bit joking here. What I really consider as unicorn drivers, obviously those money making and respect things are, respect for my time are important. But as long as you're in my car at a reasonable pickup time, I don't have to wait too long. I don't mind waiting like a couple minutes. You're polite to me. You don't even have to tip. My unicorn riders are the ones who respect my property, respect my car, which means you're not doing funky stuff in my car. You're not eating. You're not slapping my seats. You're not tugging at my seatbelts in the back. No hanky-panky, right?
No hanky-panky, okay.
You respect my property and you respect me, and that's it. That's all I ask.
I feel like your criteria for a unicorn isn't that stringent. Like, there's probably I'm sure you get a lot of rides that are people that are just like not fucking up your car and show up on time.
Honestly, most riders that I've had the experience with,
you're very easy to please. I'd be interested to hear like what people have to say about what unicorn rider. But yours are very
they're pretty.
Just be pretty chill.
Pretty chill. I honestly, as long as it's not too much of a hassle for me to like get you to point A to point B, I am happy as a lark. I'll give you a 5-star. And
yeah,
it's not.
What would have to happen for you to give them a 1-star.
Oh, okay. Bad. Oh, let me tell you a story of what happened to me 2 weeks ago, Brandon. And those of you watching this, Uber drivers, listen up.
Driver story time.
I
Story time with Jenda.
called an Uber. I get my driver. I'm very polite. By the way, we tip a lot on our whenever we do a ride because we work in the industry and in the space and we are out there.
It's also not our money, so
true. So
just letting it fly.
letting it go. Yeah, exactly. So this guy did 3 things that were very serious safety things. He drove on the wrong side of the road at one point on like a nice, I wouldn't say it's a highway, but it's a big boulevard. So there were oncoming cars, and I had to physically look at him and go, "Sir, please, like no, you're in the wrong lane." And then he goes, "Oh, we just avoided a head-on collision." I'm like, "Good. That would be awful." And not 2 seconds later, 2 minutes later, we roll up to my destination at an apartment complex, and he's going so fast that when he turns into the apartment complex driveway, he cranks that curb. He cranks it so hard that I thought his wheel flew off. And you know what, guys? Even then, I didn't give him a 1-star.
What'd you give him?
3 stars.
3.
1 for each safety violation, Doc. Because, dude, it takes a lot for me to get a 1-star. So the question you asked was, what would I have to experience to give someone 1-star? I don't even know the answer to that. Because I'm pretty sure anybody else would have given this dude a 1-star, reported him as a safety violation to Uber, but not I.
Yeah. I feel like when I was younger and I didn't know the industry as well, I was more flippant about. I wouldn't really like giving out 1-stars, but what? I would give a 3. I would give a 3 and a 4 every once in a while.
Brandon.
But I mean, I know I was a dick as a passenger. You don't know that 3-star kind of fucks you. Like that 3-star is gonna have an effect, and as a passenger, you just don't understand that. And Uber should do a little bit of a better job of saying you should really think about even before you give a 4-star, you should really think hey, is that really?
Yeah, they should only have three ratings: either good, bad, or mediocre, or terrible. Because that's what we rate them on, anyways. If we're passengers, we do either it's good trip or bad trip.
Yeah,
5-star.
That's actually a pretty good idea. I would have now. I would have to rate a driver a 1. You'd have to I even had a driver get into an accident, and I still gave him a 5-star. It wasn't really his fault. I mean, legally speaking, I think he probably would have been his fault, but it wasn't really his fault.
Yeah.
But you'd have to really be just a complete dick or something like that, and take me to the wrong spot, and it'd literally be none of my fault.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's nothing to do with your anything else but your behavior, the way you treat your passenger. If you treat me awfully, I'm probably gonna give you a 2-star.
But that almost never. I mean, sometimes drivers are it's passengers. Sometimes a little bit have a little bit of an attitude or something like that. But then it's just all right, we're not gonna talk. Listen, everyone has a bad day, and the thing is as an Uber driver, you having a bad day, you could potentially have a bad day in front of someone. If you get a 4-star, you are being punished so much for your one bad day, and people don't necessarily understand that how big of an effect that can have on a driver's ratings, which has a huge effect on everything, right? So,
yeah. So unicorn.
You're a passenger.
What
don't
about
be a
what about you? What would you consider? Okay, how would you be a unicorn rider? How would you, if you were to try to attain the status of unicorn, Brandon? What would you do? Just walk me through.
Maybe I drive. If I drive I'll get out and drive them to my destination and then tip them. That would be nice.
Come on, let's be real here.
That'd be nice.
Are you usually late for pickups?
So generally speaking, I am on time for pickups.
Guys,
lately, I've had a couple of times lately where I've been I've been a little bit late, but I never make people wait more than maybe 2 minutes max. And I'm always be right there or whatever on like the
Oh
app.
my, Brandon. What's your passenger rating?
See, this is I wish they had ratings that segmented by like the last year or the last 2 years versus like 4 years ago. Because I'm like at a 4.85 right now.
That's average.
Yeah, it was super low. It was like maybe like 3 years ago. It was like a 4.5. Like it was
Oh, that's
low. I
abysmal.
don't know what I was doing, but
Did you notice that it was hard to get like Uber rides at that point?
I don't honestly remember. Like I might have noticed that, but I don't honestly remember.
Interesting. Well, guys, let us know in the comment section what you think are Uber unicorn rides, passenger unicorns, and let us know just anything about your best trips, your worst trips, and let me know also if you think it was justified that I gave my driver a 3-star, being a driver myself. Was I a little too harsh? Again, he almost got us in a head-on collision and also cranked into the sidewalk. Keep in mind, it wasn't like a flush to the highway, like road sidewalk. I'm talking like this thing was, the concrete slab of the sidewalk was at least half a foot raised. Yoinked it. Let me know. Guys, that's it. See you later on the next episode. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, all the good stuff.